Saguaro Boys.
Today's January 20th, 2013, and we are going to talk about some news items relating to gaming. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it does actually sound pretty awful. Like news?
Mom and Dad are watching news. Let's go back to our rooms
and watch news.
Let's go watch cartoons. That's what children sound like, right?
I guess so.
This week, Sony revealed a new PlayStation 3 bundle. It's a white PlayStation with this kind of weird ribbing, I guess you would call it, across the front.
Yeah, ribbed for your pleasure.
Yeah, for the player's pleasure.
Ooh. See, I'm pretty surprised that they came out with a new PS3, considering all the talk about the next-gen systems.
Yeah, I mean,
a little late.
I guess it's at the point in the lifespan where they're trying to get new interest or collectors to get interested. This new bundle... It comes with the white PS3, obviously, and it has a 500 gig hard drive. It's only $300.
That's not bad.
But it comes with the 500 gig hard drive, a 1 year PlayStation Plus membership, which is $50
That's
value, and it also comes with a white controller, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be weird if it had a black controller.
I wonder, because Xbox came out with their black Xbox how long ago? The new Xbox Elite or the Slim Xboxes were...
It's been
yeah. But I guess Xbox came out well before the PS3, so I guess it could just be the lifespan. It just seems weird to me with all the next-gen talk.
They're also advertising this as coming with games, but it's not technically coming with games.
Marketplace.
It's the games that your PlayStation Plus 1 year membership gets you access to, and that includes Little Big Planet 2, Infamous 2, Resident Evil 5, a whole bunch of different stuff.
Which you can buy the same thing. You can buy the PlayStation 3 Black on Amazon right now, and it comes with the same setup for $300.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was in the market for a PS3 and I had been thinking about it, this would definitely be what pushed me over the edge into buying it, because it looks damn cool. It's got kind of this weird, almost 60s looking thing. It's like the ribbed part of it looks like a wood panel, like a faux wood panel or something. It's pretty cool. Speaking of Sony and the PlayStation, this week there was some information leaked, allegedly, from people that were involved with both the next PlayStation, which is tentatively being called PS4. I don't know if that's going to be the actual
Is that really
name.
What they're calling it?
That's what everybody's been referring to it as.
Because I guess if Xbox is going with the Xbox 720,
Xbox 720,
then it makes sense. It's
again,
a PS4.
I don't know whether that's the official or if that's just what people are calling it, but the next gen of each respective console. The most interesting part of this alleged leak, which, as far as I know, this is not confirmed, but allegedly Sony is looking to abandon the DualShock controller style, which is kind of a big deal because...
That's a big jump because Xbox has been the same controller from the start, and so has PlayStation pretty much.
Everybody's always made a big deal about the fact that Sony's controller feels nice in your hands, and they haven't had to change it because it's got plenty of buttons, it's a nice size. So PS1, they didn't introduce the DualShock till later on, but they did have it.
Yeah.
PS2 used the DualShock, and PS3 obviously uses the wireless version of the DualShock. So hopefully, if they do abandon it, it won't for be that something
prototype,
better.
The prototype boomerang,
the banana PS2 or PS3 prototype that they did end up ditching.
Yeah, that they did that whole thing where everyone's like, "Oh, this is going to be the new controller," and then it's the exact same, just wireless.
Also this week, Valve announced Steam Guides, which is a new Steam add-on, I guess you would call it, that's walkthroughs for the games that are on Steam.
It's pretty awesome.
Which, in theory, everybody is saying, we already have GameFAQs, but it's kind of nice because it'll be integrated with
part
Steam.
Of Steam.
And on top of...
One-stop shop.
Okay, whereas GameFAQs is just text-based walkthroughs, this is going to have a functionality for you to attach video, like gameplay videos of how to do things,
so
and
it's like
pictures.
GameFAQs and YouTube combined.
Yeah, and there are some game sites that do walkthroughs that way, but they're kind of sporadic in which games that they cover. This one's going to be player orchestrated, so Steam's got such a huge user base, I'm sure it'll build up really quickly with guides and videos and stuff. And I don't know yet, but I imagine there's probably going to be some sort of system where you can vote for stuff that's good or not good, and you can find
there has to be a ranking system.
Yeah, siphon it down to just the best stuff is what you actually gets featured. In the wake of the tragedy at Sandy Hook, the school shooting, President Obama's made a big point of getting to the bottom of the whole situation and trying to find ways to prevent it from happening in the future. He's met with the NRA, and he's also met with different representatives of the gaming industry, among other things. But following those meetings, he's requested that Congress funds a study on the effects of violent video games. This is something that's been studied in the past by various groups, and there's never been a correlation found between violent video games and actual real-life violence.
So I'm pretty interested to see what they find this time, because
yeah,
I don't feel like there's a correlation, because obviously we've both grown up playing these video games, and we're not particularly violent.
And I think that I don't want to speak for anyone else, but most gamers would probably agree that correlation is silly.
I think it's more that the world itself is a violent place. I mean, look at the news in other countries and everything. People
like to be able to just pin it down to this is the thing we can blame, and this can be the black sheep. And the reality is that whether they do find a correlation or not, it will not be the sole reason that something like this happened.
I think one of the problems is people like to blame video games because it's easy to blame video games, because a lot of people still don't view them as like a legitimate entertainment source. Like people think, oh, that's for kids, which it's not. Yeah, and that's the problem, is they think that every video game is for kids, and not every video game is for kids.
And ultimately, whether there is a correlation or not, the responsibility does fall on the shoulders of the parents who are going into the game stores with their kids that are underage and buying them M-rated games. At the very least, there needs to be vigilance on the parents' part, and parents need to be paying more attention to what their kids are doing instead of setting them in front of the TV or a video game and letting that babysit them.
Yeah.
Deep Silver, the developer of Dead Island Riptide, which the release is right around the corner, has had a bit of controversy surrounding the collector's edition for the UK of the game. The American edition features this really cool suitcase, like a travel suitcase with the little stickers on it.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet because it fits with the whole vacation theme.
A little kind of dashboard hula girl kind of figure that's a zombie that looks pretty neat.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
And what was it?
Like a hand-shaped bottle opener, I think, and then a keychain that's kind of like surfboard shape. I don't know if it's a surfboard or not.
Pretty decent collector's edition.
Sweet. I thought it was actually pretty cool.
If you're into that kind of stuff, it's a neat package. However, the UK version
is a little bit more racy.
Has caused a bit of a stir because it is a figurine of a female torso, basically from the crotch up to the collar, up to the shoulders.
Yeah.
With no head, no arms, and no legs, and just like bloody stumps where all those things should be.
And it's rather well endowed.
Yeah, she appears to have some implants or something,
and she's wearing the Union Jack
bikini, and it's covered in blood.
There are zombies in the game that are women in bikinis.
This is a zombie game that takes place on an island and is tropical, but certainly at a glance, this is not the most tasteful approach.
I don't know how it got approved.
And honestly, while there's not necessarily any inherent problems with the object itself. The fact that this is a collector's item that you get that you would presumably put on your desk or something is a little weird. And there's been a fairly large backlash since this was announced. People on one hand arguing that this is something that you could technically find actually in the game, so it's true to the game. And then people on the other side arguing that this is basically a sex object,
it's strange,
like a kind of grotesque sex object.
And I would feel the same way if it was a male torso that was beheaded and didn't have any other limbs. I would feel better if it had like a head and one arm, or still like a zombie kind of.
Yeah, there's something about the reduction of it just to the sexual organs that is really unsettling. And I'm pretty open-minded about this stuff, but certainly at a glance, you look at this and you're like, "Ooh, that's kind of in poor taste." whether it is or not is up for debate.
Because with everything that's going on recently, the objectification of women and all that, I don't like to get too like feminist. It just seems like it's poor timing. Like everything that's going on lately, it just seems too much.
I mean, not that it's the developer's fault that some of the things that have been going on abroad, you know, but
I don't know.
Deep Silver did issue an official apology.
So does that mean that they're not going to go through with it?
It appears that they are, but they say in the apology that they deeply regret it and it will not happen again. Which this game's not going to come out again.
Yeah.
But I guess if they do subsequent
Something
Dead
else,
Island games, anybody who really liked this dismembered torso in a bikini, you better snatch up as many collector's editions as you can, because you're not going to be seeing it again. On January 15th, Square released a little bit of a teaser on their website of what people thought to be a new Final Fantasy game, because it's an image of a bunch of character silhouettes, like little pixel art silhouettes of 8 characters and 2 monsters on the one side, kind of in the turn-based battle format. So everybody knew right off the bat it was going to be a new Final Fantasy. But because of the art style of the silhouettes, everyone assumed it was going to be maybe a re-release or a port of one of the older SNES games or something like that. But a couple days later, they finally announced what the game would be. It's called Final Fantasy All the Bravest and is an iOS exclusive.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's an iPhone game, for those who don't know what iOS is. And it was supposed to be a game that's focused around a battle system, and you can have parties in the battle that are larger than any other Final Fantasy game. And they released some interesting screenshots with a world map and the title screen and some battle screenshots. And people were skeptical, to say the least, because it's kind of a different format, especially using the old Final Fantasy graphics. But we're somewhat cautiously optimistic that it would be a good game.
It could be pretty cool.
But that was until it came out, and there has been sort of a big backlash against this game because what appeared to be a potentially promising game turned out to be a big money grab from Square. The game costs $3.99 in the App Store, but
is there a bunch of in-game purchases?
Right, you are. To get the full experience of the game, you have to buy little DLC packs within the game. So you're only given access to a few of the worlds, but to get to the next ones, you have to buy them, which are also $3.99 each.
Ooh, which normally the game is free, and then to buy all that extra stuff, you have to buy it in game. But if you have to buy the initial game itself,
and that's only where it begins.
Oh boy!
Do you want some different characters from all the classic Final Fantasy games? Your favorite characters to make cameos? Well, that's 99 cents per character, and there's 35.
This does sound like a money grab.
Yeah. It's estimated to cost over $50 to unlock all the stuff in the game.
For an iOS
game? Keep in mind this is an iOS game on your phone. And I've heard that the gameplay mechanics themselves are competent, but not particularly amazing. So whether that is worth $50 to you, I don't know. But
I just can't imagine spending that much.
And our last news item is an announcement from Disney. They have announced their new game called Infinity, which is similar to the game Skylanders. I haven't played Skylanders personally, but
I've never
as far as I'm aware, it's a game where you collect little figurines. I always see them at thrift stores because people get rid of them pretty quickly, and then that allows you to unlock characters in the game and so forth. It's kind of similar to the Final Fantasy thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a money grab. People do enjoy the game though, so I mean, if you like collecting figurines and stuff, it's cool. But this one is the same concept but with Disney characters, and now that they own basically every creative franchise in existence, it encompasses a lot of characters. The trailer that they released shows Pirates of the Caribbean, Monsters Inc., Incredibles.
This has a pretty broad spectrum.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas. So there's a lot of stuff. Once you see the dollar signs rolling in for all the stuff, though, then you realize what their strategy is with this. The starter pack is $75. The playset pack, whatever that is $35. One figure is $13. A 3-pack of figures is $30.
Jeez,
and,
that does sound pretty
and a power disc pack, it's probably some sort of power-ups for the characters, is $5. Disney has a pretty solid history of doing well with the IPs that they acquire, so perhaps it will end up being a good game, but perhaps it'll go the route of Skylanders.
Maybe it'll just be really expensive.
Cyberpunk 2077. There's a cool cinematic trailer for this one. It's a Cyberpunk game, if you hadn't guessed by the name. And this is an open world Cyberpunk game that kind of looks like a modern version of Shadowrun. It's based on a tabletop game called Cyberpunk, and they're working with some of the original creators of the tabletop game to make sure that this stays true to the source material. And it looks very stylized.
I've heard that they don't have a gameplay trailer out. They don't really have a release date. They just say it'll be released when it's done, because it's going to be a next-gen game.
Yeah.
A next-gen console game.
So we may be waiting a while on this one, but
it could be really worth it.
You can at least wet your palate with the teaser, because it looks pretty damn cool.
It's very well put together, and it's awesome.
Next up, there's the reveal of Pokemon X and Y.
I've never been into the
which
Pokemon
I know Chris
franchise.
Loves Pokemon.
Never really been into it.
This also brings the new generation of Pokemon, so now there's 500,000 of them.
Yeah,
people were teasing this a while ago, and people were really hoping that they were finally bringing a Pokemon RPG style game to the console, because the fans have only been crying for this for the past decade. And of course, it's not. This one is for the 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
So it's staying on the handheld, at least for now. So it's a step up, I suppose, but...
but then you're still sitting there playing it on a little handheld.
We have upcoming games in the next month or so that we're personally keeping our eyes on. This isn't all of the upcoming releases, just the ones that we think are worth looking at.
Yeah, the ones we liked.
If you care about our opinions at all.
Which you probably don't.
But you should.
You should.
On January 22nd, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch comes out by Namco Bandai, and that's the collaboration with Studio Ghibli, what they're calling the new old JRPG. It's got old JRPG style gameplay with modern graphics. Pokemon should take a hint from this one because it's got rave reviews, and I'll be reviewing that one when it comes out. And also on January 22nd is The Cave from Double Fine Studios.
When I first saw this one, I got pretty excited. It looks so fun.
It looks like a Little Big Planet-esque platformer that's co-op, but with the graphical stylings of a Tim Burton film. The directors of this project are Ron Gilbert and Tim Schafer, the guys that have done a lot of classic point-and-click games, and they specifically cited Maniac Mansion, which is a game that they did, as a source inspiration for this.
It's like puzzle-solving platformer. Each little character has their own story.
Sort of horror elements, yeah. You can pick your characters, and they work together in different ways.
And the cave is like a sentient, like, it's alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds so awesome.
This was completely under my radar, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on it now.
I like that it's Steam and it's Xbox Live Arcade, so it gives you options, and I like that because I'll probably get it on Xbox.
Yeah. On February 1st, the Hitman HD trilogy is coming out, and that's Hitman Contracts, Silent Assassin, and Blood Money all in one game, all revamped in full HD, and
that's
it's only $40.
Yeah, that's.
I already even own Blood Money, and I've played Contracts.
The Hitman series is such a solid series as it is.
I think I might be picking that one up.
Yeah.
On February 5th, we have Dead Space 3. I have interest in that series, but I have yet to play any of the games.
I've played some of the first Dead Space. It's scary.
Yeah. So if you're into survival horror shootery games,
it's really
you're
scary.
Probably already watching that. And then on February 12th is Aliens Colonial Marines,